Welcome back. Chelsea Edwards again taking over for Sally McDonald. It is decision day. A hearing in Harris County today could determine if abortions will once again be banned at all clinics in Texas. You may remember a Harris County judge issued a temporary restraining order last month that allowed the procedure to resume for up to 6 weeks of pregnancy. Josh Blackman with South Texas College of Law joins us live to give us more details. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning.
So clinics sued after Texas's attorney general used a century-old statute to bypass the 30-day trigger law and declare abortions illegal immediately after the Supreme Court's decision. But can you explain in more detail the legal challenge and what could happen in court today? Could that restraining order be extended?
Well, you have to keep in mind there are a couple things going on. There actually are 3 laws, right? There is the fetal heartbeat law that went into effect last year, and that's still in effect, which permits abortions after roughly the 6-week mark. There's also the so-called trigger law, which will kick in about a month after Roe v. Wade was overruled. Roe was overruled a few weeks ago, so basically by the end of July, give or take, the trigger law will go into effect. And there's a third law. This was a 1925 law that prohibited abortion. In Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court said this 1925 law is unconstitutional, but now Roe is overturned. So this old law basically comes back into effect right away. So there's really 3 different types of laws that prohibit abortion at various stages. It's a very complicated regime. Shortly after the Supreme Court overruled Roe, a judge in Austin, also a judge here in Houston, said they were unconstitutional. The Texas Supreme Court said the laws can go into effect, and those who perform abortions can face liability later. So here's where we are right now. Any clinic that decides to perform an abortion prior to 6 weeks may face civil liability and potentially criminal liability down the road.
Okay, so that's depending on whether or not this extension is granted, the restraining order extension?
Even it's complicated. Even if the district court issues its ruling, it's possible that courts later hold that the law is always in effect and that there's still potential liability. I know that clinics are sort of open, close in response to these various yo-yo court rulings. It's a very complicated stage.
Okay, so we're still waiting, as you mentioned, for that trigger law to take effect. If this extension doesn't happen, then that's a win for the Texas Attorney General, right? So then what happens with abortions in Texas?
I think the next couple of weeks will be a little bit hazy, but come early July, when the trigger law does go into effect, I think it will probably be the case that abortions will be mostly, or if not entirely, prohibited in Texas, with the exception of the mother's life exception.
Okay, let's talk about the president's power. He's facing midterm pressure and signing orders and proposing ideas to extend abortion access to women, but he can't overrule the Supreme Court. So what can he actually do?
Not much. President Biden has tried to interpret pre-existing law to provide greater protection for abortion. So there's one law that requires most doctors to provide emergency care. So, for example, if a woman has an ectopic pregnancy or perhaps suffers a severe miscarriage, there may be a need to perform an abortion. Under federal law, the president said doctors must perform those abortions, even if state law prohibits it. But as I read Texas law, there is an exception for the mother's life. So it seems that what Biden is saying is actually consistent with federal law. What Texas law permits. So the actions Biden has taken are really fairly moderate. They don't go very far.
Well, thank you for your insight, Josh Blackman with South Texas College of Law.
Thank you.